welcome back to Pokemon Team Videos. Today's Pokemon Team video comes from me. This one comes to my personal suggestions because like I said, I have a list, and I'm not in the back of the book. I'm actually like placed somewhere like third page because this back at the time when I started this, not a lot of people would give me suggestions, so I would go through everyone's suggestions, then use one of my personal suggestions and cycle through it. But we've gotten more individuals, so more subscribers, so yeah, it made sense that I would pop up here. And this comes from the list, the My Hero Academia side list, which we haven't done a lot of those characters, to be frank. Now, I have done an entire My Hero Academia Pokemon What If crossover. So if you want a somewhat interpretation of what my idea of these teams would look like, you can check that out. These teams have probably developed and changed since then. I have also done Jiro, I've done Izuku. They're the only three I've done. But today's is the mighty King Murder Dynamite, which honestly, just Dynamite would have worked fine. Baku. Now, Baku, oh man, Katsuki Bakugo is one of those protagonist rivals, main rivals in the series. That is a fan favorite, but as a person, this guy started out very unlikable. I wouldn't go so far as to say he was detestable. He is just a kid, but he's so arrogant, so hot-headed, has such an inferiority complex that just made it really hard to sympathize with him on so many levels. But that's also kind of what people liked about him too. But as time has gone on, he has matured as an individual and as a character on the pages of My Hero Academia. But that's neither here nor there. The question is, what is this man's team, his Pokemon team? The team of Pokemon that make up a team for Bakugo. So, first and foremost, in my What If, and there'll be some spoilers, because there was, 4 carryovers from from the What If My Hero Academia Pokemon crossover. So, the first one was an obvious one. It was the starter I had for him. That was Typhlosion. First off, Typhlosion is the eruption Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken. So, right there, it kind of goes with his anger. But let's not mince words. It's fire, which works well with his explosion quirk. But I can literally put these guys side by side. This thing is, I don't know if Bakugo's costume was actually modeled off of Typhlosion. But it would be hard pressed to try to argue to me this. No, there was no influence whatsoever. Are you sure? Are you sure Horikoshi doesn't play a little bit of Pokemon? Because that's pretty near spot on color-wise and all that. Granted, I am using... Actually, this isn't his main hero outfit. I believe this is more of his hero outfit later on in the series. But still, Typhlosion made 100% sense. This was his starter for me, and the What If... this made sense to be on the team. A fire-type Pokemon goes with his explosion quirk, all that. Now... Speaking of explosion, that is his quirk, the explosion quirk. Basically, what it is, if I remember correctly, exactly how it works. His mother has a quirk that basically she sweats a nitroglycerin-like substance, keeps her skin very youthful. He inherited that, but he also inherited a quirk from his father, who, oh god, I can't actually remember what his quirk exactly did. Hold on. Bakugo, if I can get this to come up. Akugo. Come on. Kugo? Once again, my computer is being iffy with the keys. They do not want to seem to be working at this moment. Come on. Let's see here. Come on, feel the noise. Girls, rock your boys. Anyway, his dad had some sort of quirk, which let him create a spark. There we go. I got things working again to a degree. His dad has some sort of quirk that allows him to kind of do what Bakugo does a little bit, but to a much lesser extent. For the love of... every time come on, darn it. Alright, jeez. His dad has a lesser quirk than his own. Let's see here. There's Bakugo, his father... It's Father Mashiro Bakugo. Let's see. He does have a quirk, Acid Sweat. Okay, his quirk is called Acid Sweat. Allows him to create acidic sweat with combustive properties from the palms of his hands. However, he cannot forcibly secrete it. It comes out like normal sweat. If he rubs his hands together, then he can create explosions. But yeah, so basically what happened was Bakugo got a combination of his mom's nitroglycerin quirk combined with an acid sweat quirk, which basically gave him a super high explosive quirk. And obviously, the more he sweats, the more powerful it becomes. Of course, he can put more force on it if he tries. The point is that his quirk is explosion. So it made sense to have Pokemon that know explosion on the team. Now, that said, there are actually only 2 Pokemon on this team that know explosion. The first one was Electrode. Again, while his quirk isn't electric-based, fire and lightning do kind of go pretty close together in terms of talking about explosions. Kaminari would make more sense to have an Electrode theoretically than Bakugo, but the fact is, Voltorbs and Electrodes are famously known for basically being living bombs. And the fact that, he carries little grenades on him at the same time that he can fill with his own sweat makes a lot of sense to have something like an Electrode on his team. The other Pokemon that knows explosion that I put on the team. Now, I was going through the roster list of all the Pokemon that can learn explosion. I'm like, no. But then I'm like, ooh, I like this one. Turtonator. Turtonator, I like, A, it knows explosion. It can learn explosion. B, it's a fire type. So that goes towards Bakugo's quirk even further. But C, Turtonator is turtle and detonator. It is technically a landmine, is what it is. Though I think the way turtle, and it's based on a Matamata turtle. But more or less, what it's kind of designed as is technically it's designed as a shield that explodes, but what it's really designed of is kind of like a landmine, which goes very close to like grenades and explosives. So I like this idea of him having a Turtonator on the team. Now, granted, I'm going to tell you right now, his team's not overly balanced. There are 3 fire types on the team. You'll notice we've only done 2. One is coming up a little later. But that being said, there's also a dragon and a electric type. So right now, it could be worse. It could be worse. And we're about to balance it out a little further, because the next guy on the team here is Exploud. Exploud was definitely one of the carryovers from his original team I did in the What If. Same with Electrode. And this comes not necessarily from knowing explosion or even being related to his quirk. This comes more from his personality. Now, first off, Exploud does have explode in its name, Exploud. But it's a very loud, angry, vocal Pokemon. And if you know anything about Bakugo, you know that he's a very loud, angry, vocal individual who doesn't give a crap about what he says and who he says it to. So Exploud made a lot of sense on his team. I thought about it too, as like Exploud is kind of like an oddball from his 2 previous evolutions. Whismur and Loudon, while not seemingly based on any one creature, do seem to at least be kind of mammalian in their design, whereas Exploud is actually a bit more reptilian comparatively. But either way, Exploud goes on to represent his personality, and another Pokemon that really represents his personality, in my opinion, is the pseudo-legendary of his team. That would be Hydreigon. Hydreigon is literally a Pokemon that goes on rampages. Now, I was trying to look up very aggressive Pokemon to be putting on the team, and there's certainly a number of them I could have gone with. I could have gone with a Scyther, for example, which can be very aggressive. I could have gone with a Tyranitar, which is very aggressive. However, Hydreigon, I believe it's known as the Rampage Pokemon. I want to know his. I'm going to just find Hydreigon's Pokedex, or his designation in terms of the Pokedex. But Hydreigon, it's one of the Pokemon that actually has the highest level of evolution, if I'm not mistaken, of any Pokemon, which actually I didn't even think about it until just this moment. Yeah, level 64, the highest one to date. But it actually it's known as a classification of the brutal Pokemon. That works too. But it's actually a Pokemon, because it takes so long to mature, it makes sense for Bakugo because he took so long within the storyline to mature. So I actually like this in terms of a Pokemon that represents A, the length of time that it takes to mature this Pokemon, and B, it's a Pokemon that it's like the Sword and Shield entry states. There are a slew of stories about villages that were destroyed by a Dragon. It bites anything that moves. The attacks won't slow until their target is down. Like this is an aggressive Pokemon. And I think that works actually well for Bakugo. So that brings us now to our final member of the team. So one of the things that came up to me is that I needed a fighting type on the team. Bakugo, even by the teachers, was classified. You know, you got the rescuers, you got the supporters, and then you got the pure warriors on the battlefield in this test where he's just like lording over these destroyed robots he's just taken out. And I'm like, okay, that tells me I need a warrior, so I need a fighting type is what I need. So, but what fighting type do I use? Well, I could go this route, I could go this route. I'm like, is there any fighting fire type that can, and there are a couple, that could represent him because of his nature with the exploding quirk. And then I thought, well, why not just put a Pokemon that knows Fire Punch on there? Because that is, in essence, a near perfect example of the explosion quirk. It just doesn't like burst and explode upon contact. It's just a fist covered in flames. But it's the closest thing, apart from explosion, we have in Pokemon that is an equivalent to his quirk. So I'm looking at the options. I'm like, well, Blaziken could work, but it's more known for Blaze Kick and his kicks. So that doesn't work. And I'm not going to use freaking Emboar because A, I don't like Emboar very much. But B, and more importantly, don't get me wrong, I would probably use Emboar on, like, say, Endeavor's team, because that actually really looks like a Pokemon he'd have. But then I'm like, okay, this one makes the most sense. And he's come up a couple times now in recent videos for Pokemon. And that's Infernape. Now, Infernape doesn't actually naturally learn Fire Punch, but it can learn it as, I believe, an Egg move or as a TM. I can't remember which one it was. But the point being is, yes, Infernape can learn Fire Punch. It is a fighting type. It's one of the best starters there is. In my opinion. It's great design also. I've always loved Infernape. I really have. Infernape and Torterra, I think they did a fantastic job on in designing and in terms of how good they are. I've never been an Empoleon fan, but that's just my opinion. So ultimately, that is our team. We have Typhlosion. A, it's the eruption Pokemon. B, it's a fire type. And C, it is aesthetically the closest you'll ever get to Bakugo's costume. We have both Terminator and Electrode to represent the exploding Pokemon, or Pokemon to represent his explosion quirk. Electrode is kind of a bomb as well to represent the grenades he carries. Terminator, fire again, and it's also a mortar to basically be precise, a detonator, a kind of landmine, if you will. Hydreigon and Exploder more represent his attitude, and Hydreigon to represent his growth as a character, how long it took. And to represent, too, he's one of the strongest members of Class 1A also. And Hydreigon is one of the strongest pseudo-legendaries you can get. And then Infernape to represent the fact that he is kind of a natural warrior on the battlefield and to have a Pokemon that knows Fire Punch, so he can still be represented by his quirk. So, ultimately, that is, in my opinion, the Pokemon team for Katsuki Bakugo. But that is just my opinion. What do you think about that in the comments below? Let me know. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you for the next one. Have a good